In 2019, I began the teacher training college, and I was sort of obsessed with wanting to study the art of filmmaking, but for several reasons it wasn't possible. So during the first year, I was really upset with my parents for not letting me do what I wanted to do. I didn't like what I was studying, and I let my mom know that, and I promised myself that I would finish the career in 4 years. I decided to make this documentary with the help of my friends in an attempt to explain what happened to me during the last 4 years of my life. I do not dare to talk about these things face to face with people, with my friends or family, so I thought that this is the best way to communicate those feelings, ideas, and emotions. I am not a sociable person. I don't have that sort of skills. I get really nervous when I am around people. That first year where in college you have people that are 20 years older than you, or they are their same age, or maybe they are 30 years older, and you feel very different from high school and it's a big change and nobody prepares you for that change. I don't know, I think I managed somehow to adapt to that situation, and the thing is that it's harder for me to relate with people of my age than to relate with elder people, because I grew up with my grandparents that had an influence on me. So the first year went by, and then the pandemic came, and I was locked up in my house with my family. Nobody could work, nobody could get out, and I had to keep on studying through the platform of the college. And I didn't give up, because what else could I do? We couldn't work, we couldn't do anything, so I just had to sit in front of my computer all morning and try to learn something, and that's what I did for 2 years. I can't say I had a bad time. I was at home, I didn't have to socialize, I didn't have to go out and deal with people on streets. It sounds pretty antisocial, but I really had a good time. My family was okay, my friends were okay, I was okay, and I really have no complaints about that time. And I know that there's people who struggle, but to me it was all that anxiety that I had when I go out of home that was gone, and I was just safe at home, and that's the way I felt for 2 years. Last year everything went back to normal, and everything around me collapsed. It was my last year at the teacher training college, and I just wanted to take it off my back, and that added a certain amount of pressure that I didn't need it. After 2 years of not getting out of my house, being most of the day studying in front of a computer, and suddenly having to commute again and interact with people, and having my first job as a teacher, not knowing most of the time what to do, and attending 10 signatures in which I had to study, prepare for the exams and everything. It was a lot, and I wasn't aware of all that weight that I was putting over my shoulders when I started the year. My weekends didn't exist. I didn't go out at all. I didn't want any distractions. I had a goal of studying and doing all my exams right and doing all my homework and not having anything for February or December at least. And I knew that if I wasted my time in those things, I wasn't going to finish in the 4 years. So I decided to put that away. My friends and family would ask me how I was, and I don't open myself up to people. I don't know how to express my feelings with words. So I just said, I'm fine. That was all. I was definitely not fine. But what they could do if I said the opposite, what they could do if I said, no, actually I'm not fine. There are many things that are worrying me now, and I have a lot of anxiety, and I cannot express it with words because I will start to cry. And what they could do about that? Nothing. So I knew that it was something that I had to fix by myself, and that I had to keep on moving, because in my family we don't share our emotions that easily, and it's hard for them to understand when somebody is going through some emotions such as anxiety. And I didn't thought they would understand, so I didn't tell about it. I thought that was the best way to deal with it, and maybe it wasn't, but that was what I had to do. Through the year, things were getting worse with my family. I don't think they ever notice it because I hide it. I like being on my own, but there's a difference between alone and lonely. I felt lonely most of the time because I didn't have anyone to share it with except for my friends, but I saw them once in a while, and sometimes it was through calls or messages maybe, and I don't blame my family. I don't. Most of the time I used to go to the bathroom or to my bedroom and just stop for a moment and think, and sometimes I cried because it was too much, and I didn't want my family to see me crying because they will ask me many questions that I didn't want to answer or I wasn't ready to answer. And after crying I just kept on. Was it okay? Maybe not. Everything in your 20s feels really confusing. First, you think that what you're doing is right, and then you start to doubt about yourself and about your decisions, and you have to act like an adult, but at the same time, you're not an adult, not fully. And there are many contradictions that we cannot answer. We just try to do our best. And it's hard. It is not that easy because when you're younger, you think that by your 20s you will have everything figured out, and it's not like that. It's more complicated. Last year, finally, I finished my course of studies like I promised, in 4 years. I felt happy and sad. I could breathe again. It was like I took off tons of weight off my chest, off my shoulders, off my head. It was nice. I made this documentary because I want to give a closure to something that it's hard to define with words. I don't know how much time we have in this world, and I don't want to get to my 60s or 70s and regret about things I didn't do, or that I didn't make the films that I wanted to because I was too afraid of what people would think, or because there's no future in the industry for me because there's too many people. That is not the answer that I'm looking for. I'm looking for something bigger than that. The truth is that we're at risk no matter what we do. So whatever I decide to do, I'll do it from the bottom of my heart, and I will be alright. At the end of the road, I will be alright.